Can y'all see my screen?
Oh,
Y'all see my screen, right?
we're live. Yes, we can
All
see
right,
your screen.
perfect. Let me minimize this because all y'all in my face. Okay. Y'all can still see my screen, right?
Yes, perfect. Three
Okay.
secrets.
Drop a one in the chat if you can see my screen. Drop a one in the chat if you're ready for tonight. Drop a one, drop a one, drop a one. I don't want no lazy people in the presentation tonight. Drop a one in the chat. We're gonna be here all day. Drop a one, drop a one. Okay, I think I see some ones. Okay, perfect, perfect, perfect. All right, we're gonna talk about the three secrets to unlock $25,000 in business funding at 0% interest. As you see on the screen on the left, I'm showing y'all 75,000. So if you can see 75,000, if you can visualize 75,000, you should be able to believe that you can achieve at least 25,000. We're going to talk about how to leverage your credit. We're going to talk about how to unlock capital. We're going to talk about how to grow your business. So let's get straight to it. All right, so this is going to be without waiting years to save up cash the slow way. This is going to be without having to have an 800 credit score. This is going to be without already having to have a business that's making a lot of revenue. So my goal from tonight's class, I just want to give y'all a clear roadmap to help you secure your next or first $25,000 in business funding. I want you to understand how to structure a fundable credit profile. I want you to understand how to fund your wildest dreams, like LT said, stress free by leveraging business credit responsibly. We're going to talk about the specific strategy we use to help clients secure business capital. And I want you to have the mindset and the confidence to fully believe that you could do it too. Hold on, this thing in my face. All right, so why is this training even important right now? So the economy is literally always changing. So since 2021, I've literally seen a shift in the market. Banks are literally becoming like more stingy, they're becoming more strict because people are scamming, they're suffering from losses, they're suffering from defaults, they're suffering from fraudulent activities. So this is why like right now is more pivotal than any time. They're tightening up. Banks are becoming stingier every day. Market is changing. They're suffering massive losses. People are creating these fake businesses, you know what I'm saying? So you just got to really seize the moment right now. And then I got the blueprint for you to navigate this challenging market. So we're going to get into it. Don't wait for doors to close. Take action fast as humanly possible and equip yourself with the proven blueprint to secure your business funding now. So if you're trying to write that book, you're thinking, oh, I don't know how I'm going to get the money. We're going to talk about it. Don't worry. All right, everybody has a story. Let's talk a little briefly about my own. So I used to be a chemical engineer. So from chemical engineer to funding expert. Here's how I discovered this new opportunity. So February 2021 was my own turning point. I needed like almost $5,000 for a credit mentorship, but I had no cash up front to do it. I only had my credit card. So that's when I realized access to credit equals access to opportunity. I invested in a program using a credit card, and then I learned about credit repair. I learned about consumer laws. I learned about business funding. Fast forward June 2022, I was able to quit my 9 to 5 job as a chemical engineer. I became a full-time entrepreneur, and I was out earning my job at that point. I was helping people fix their credit. I was helping people get funding to leverage it to fund their dreams. So essentially, I become the bridge between people that are trying to make it and the banks that have the capital to lend. All right, so the information I'm literally teaching y'all today, I've literally used this information myself to secure $70,000 in personal funding, over a quarter million in business funding for myself, and I built a system to help other people do the same. And remember, you don't need an 800 to get approved at least $25,000. So we're gonna talk about it. So I want to just highlight a case study success story of one of my students. So his name is Khalid. He used to drive DoorDash, and he was able to secure $50,000 in funding at 0% interest. This was only on one card, so he secured more than this. So he was stuck in a cycle. At a point, he had bad credit. He had limited options. He was delivering food to make ends meet, so he was doing DoorDash. Before he did what I said, like I said, he was delivering DoorDash. He was struggling with bad credit. He had no path towards business growth. He just had graduated business school. He had no direction of what he wanted to do for the remainder of his 20s. And fast forward, he guessed with me. He invested $5,000, as you see on the screen on the right. That's literally his screenshot that he put. It's not Photoshop. I don't think this is a room where everyone thinks everything's a scam. So, what I'm saying is what happened. So he invested $5,000 to get mentored by me privately. I taught him the blueprint. I taught him everything I'm gonna tell y'all today for free. He paid $5,000 for it, so really pay attention. He had a credit profile cleanup, and he used my bank insider connection, which led to his first $50,000 business credit card at 0% interest for 12 months. This was a business that was not making revenue. So to be transparent, you're not going to just get that without insider bank connections. So we're going to talk about that in the presentation. After he did what I said, since then he's relocated to Miami. He's transformed his lifestyle. He's running his own credit repair and funding business. As you see on the left over there, it's kind of small, but that's a $50,000 card. He also got a new car as well. So this is what happens when you leverage the credit. You can get a new car as well. Let's talk about someone else. So let's talk about Glenn, right? So maybe Khaled in his 20s, that's not relatable. Let's talk about Glenn. Glenn in his mid 40s, he came to us with a clear goal. He wanted to start his own vending machine business. He thought he had to use his own money until he found me. He saw me talking how I talk on YouTube, just being straightforward, and he gravitated towards me. He only wanted to get $20,000 in funding, but we were able to get him more actually. So his main issue was he didn't have the insider bank connections like I do, and he didn't know where to go. So he didn't know how to go about it, and he didn't know that it was possible. After we reviewed his situation, we found that he was able to have a strong credit profile, so we helped him with that. We leveraged his credit to help him secure 35,000 in business funding. So as you see on the left, it's a text from my bank relationship manager. I decided to put my other client, Ricardo, on the right just to provide an actual receipt that shows the 35,000, but he did get approved 35,000, and this was 0% interest for 12 months. This capital was very crucial in him launching his vending machine business. So keep that in mind that 0% interest capital can really help you start, grow, or scale that business. Those of y'all that are writing books, it can help you as far as your marketing. It can help you as far as hiring a coach. It can help you in a flexible manner. So just keep that in mind. All right, let's talk about it. So secret number one, we talk about secrets today. It's September. September is about revealing secrets. Let's get straight to it. So your credit score does not matter. Your credit score does not matter. What do you mean by that, Michael? Your credit score does not matter, meaning it's more about your profile, how your profile is built. So if you don't know, in terms of a credit profile, 35% is payment history. 30% is your utilization. 15% is your credit history. 10% is new credit or hard inquiries. 10% is a credit mix. So 35% being payment history, you want to obviously maintain 100% payment history. If you get one late payment, that'll cook your entire credit report. So you want to really be careful with that. If you do get a late payment, it's possible to remove them, but it can just be tricky depending on the situation. 30% utilization, you want to basically have a utilization rate that's single digits. They say average is 30%, but we don't want to be average. If you're watching this, you're not average. So we want to maintain 9% or less. Credit history length, we want to have at least, 4 or 5 years plus of credit. And then new credit, meaning hard inquiries. Y'all know when y'all go to a dealership, they run up your credit, you don't want to have more than 3 to 4 hard inquiries per bureau, but we're going to talk about that. And then credit mix, you want to just have installment accounts, meaning like student loans. You want to have revolving accounts, meaning like credit cards. So you just want to structure it in terms of it having depth in terms of your profile. All right, so building your bankable credit profile. So, like I said, it's not just about your credit score, it's the structure of your entire credit profile that makes you attractive to lenders. What they're gonna look for? No negative items. We don't want any negative items. I'm gonna give y'all a consumer law that you can use to remove any negative items if you do have any negative items, but we wanna see no collections, no late payments, no bankruptcies, no charge offs, no nothing on there, right? We want to have at least 7 open accounts because if we have an 800 credit score, but we just have a skinny profile, that's not going to do nothing, right? You want to have depth to your profile. And then ideally, you want to have a 700 plus FICO. So 680 is going to be the absolute minimum, but you want to have at least 700 plus. And then a low debt utilization rate. So, like I said, below 9%. 30% is for average people. Like I told y'all, the banks are super, super stingy. They're going to continue to be stingy. So, if you're just doing the average of what used to work back in the day, you're going to get left behind. So, you don't want to get left behind. High limit cards, if possible. You want to have at least two personal credit cards that have 10K plus limits. I want to say 5,000 is a absolute minimum because you want to have comparable credit. The banks are looking at it as like, okay, XYZ person is managing this amount of credit, so I feel comfortable lending them more credit. And then, like I said, age. Each account should not be anything less than 6 months if you're going for business funding or any type of funding. And then hard inquiries, no more than 3 to 4 per bureau. The chat is going a little crazy. Hold on, let me check what's in the chat. Your credit score does not matter. Your profile. Da, da, da. Okay. Okay. Cool. Cool. Cool.
That's me typing notes. Just
Okay. You
ignore
affirming.
me.
Okay. Okay. I feel. I feel. All right. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. All right. So building your bankable business structure. So beyond your personal credit, obviously the lenders they're gonna look at your business's foundation. This is where a lot of people get it twisted. A lot of people think that they could just use their EIN to get EIN only funding. We're gonna go over why that's the wrong mindset and why y'all will not go about that method. So you want to obviously have a registered LLC. So if you don't know how to achieve that, go to your Secretary of State, wherever state you're located. I know we got some Texas, we got some California, we got some Georgia, Florida. So go to the Secretary of State within your state and register it. LLC S corp can get funded as well, but for the sake of simplicity, we're going based off of LLC. NACES code. If you don't know what a NACES code is, it's basically how you're classified in terms of what you're doing for business. So y'all as authors, assuming you're an author, you're in that lane, I don't believe that you're in a high risk NACES code. A high risk NACES code, for example, would be something like trucking. Trucking, there's a lot of liability associated with that. So banks are scared to lend out to them. So just identify and understand your NACES code. Professional website. This varies bank by bank, but you're better off having a website just so that you're findable online and you look like a real business. Remember, you got to look at it from the bank's perspective. They're scared of scammers because people are literally scamming and making up fake businesses, right? So you want to make sure that you look real. Business address. So this has been a controversial topic. In the past, it's been like you got to get a virtual address, PO box, and all that. But we're getting people funded based off of their home address. And as I've spoken with my bank relationship managers, which are like the insider people in the banks, they've been telling me more recently that people know, especially if someone's just starting a business, they're going to expect them to use their home address. So don't be scared to use your home address when it comes to that. And then professional email. This is not a make or break thing, but you do want to have a professional email. Like our business email is michael@catactics.com, meaning my business. You don't want to, whatever email you might have had in junior high, Johnny Pants Boy, whatever, 123, you don't want to use that nonsense. So you want to create a professional email. And then a real business checking account. I've came across people that have these fake business checking accounts like Blue Vine. These ones that aren't real banks. A real bank like Chase, a Bank of America, if we're talking about a credit union like a Navy Federal or a local credit union, but you want to have a real business checking account. So just remember that. What if your personal credit has negative items? Okay, you might be thinking that, right? I got you. So we go and repair your credit using consumer laws. If you're not familiar with consumer laws, there's a law called the Fair Credit Reporting Act. The Fair Credit Reporting Act says that you're entitled to have accurate and fair credit reporting. So there's many laws within it, within the FCRA. If you're new to watching me, I literally put out an 8 hour plus video on YouTube where I went over everything in terms of how to delete any negative item. I'm gonna give y'all like an action item in terms of if you need more help as far as your credit. But for the sake of simplicity with the presentation, we're gonna focus on one law. This is 15 USC 1681I. I want you to think about I as an investigation because the law is focused on investigation. 15 USC 1681I. 15 USC 1681I. So the FCRA is going to be your most powerful tool when it comes to getting negative items deleted. If anything is negative or inaccurate or incomplete on your credit report, you want to use 15 USC 1681 IA1A to request a reinvestigation. 15 USC 1681 IA1A to request a reinvestigation. If this is confusing or anything, like I said, I'm going to give y'all a chance in terms of getting more education, and we'll talk about it. So anything that's inaccurate, incomplete, or unverifiable by law is supposed to be removed if not proven within 30 days, right? So just keep that in mind. So most people just make the mistake. They believe that negative items are just supposed to be there for 7 years. That's not the case. With proper dispute strategies, meaning consumer laws, you can go ahead and get those legally removed. There's a lot of methods to get stuff removed. We're going off of the legal way. Now let's talk about you got collections, because I know some people deal with collections. We're using a different law, the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act. This is the FDCPA. 15 USC 1692. 15 USC 1681 is a Fair Credit Reporting Act. The Fair Debt Collection Practices Act, this deals with collections. 15 USC 1692G. So the FDCPA is going to help you with unfair debt collection practices. It gives you the right to demand verification, of any alleged debt or any alleged obligation. So we want to use 15 USC 1692G in sending a debt validation letter to dispute the validity of the debt. If they can't provide validity of the debt, they can't provide an entire contract agreement, the entire purchase agreement, then they're supposed to cease collection activities and remove the item from your credit report. So keep in mind those two laws: FDCPA 15 USC 1692G, FCRA 15 USC 1681I. 15 USC 1681 EB as well in the FCRA, that's for maximum possible accuracy. If what I'm saying is gibberish, like I said, I'm going to give you an opportunity for additional knowledge. All right, so let's say you're feeling overwhelmed by DIY credit repair. Maybe you're just like, all this 15, 20, whatever he's talking about, I don't get it, right? All this 15 USC stuff. So it might be overwhelming. I get it if you're new to it. You might be thinking, like, oh, can I really do it on my own? I'm going to introduce you to a couple of people who were actually once in your shoes. So I'm very testimonial based. So we have a GK here. She's part of my university, and she went from fear to taking action to credit repair success. So Ajika, she joined Cat Credit University. She was, she was scared at first. She was scared getting in her own way. I saw that it was taking her a minute to take action. After some weeks, she was confidently taking action. She got some results for her clients. And then we did a case study video on my YouTube. By the way, everyone that I'm posting, with the exception of Glenn, I have a full case study video on my YouTube. So if somehow you're thinking like, oh, maybe I don't know what he's saying is true, is public information on my YouTube. You can go search, and I'll mention my YouTube later on too. So that transformation that she had came from support and strategy, because she was hearing the laws I was speaking at first too, and she was like confused. She got into university. She took the time to understand it. She got support from the group. I even connected her with someone else. So I made a whole university where you go connect and meet people that you wouldn't have met without the university. So that's powerful. So she even went on to win a student of the month in our university for posting her wins. So we do like a member of the month type of thing in there. All right, so I also want to showcase Jeremy. So I showcase a lady. I want to showcase a guy too, just in case you're a guy. So Jeremy, initially he got scammed by different credit repair people, and then he transformed to successful credit repair and freedom. So he came to us after he got scammed by a different credit repair specialist. He got into university. He took action on his own, and then he was seeing results in as quick as like 7 days. So he was diligent, applied every step, and now he's not just an entrepreneur, but a role model for what's possible. So just wanted to show y'all a couple people that succeeded with it. So this is the problem with the most credit advice. So we're still on the credit repair aspect. We're gonna get towards the funding aspect if you don't got any credit issues, but I understand that some of y'all may need to focus on the credit first. So generic templates, one size fits all approach that doesn't address your specific situation. No accountability. You don't have anybody that's holding you accountable as far as follow-ups and support. Outdated information, strategies that worked in like 19 whatever, right? So you got to stay current and updated. No plan after fixing. They only focus on the repair without strategies to leverage it to go get the funding, which is what we're going to talk about. So most advice is too general or just wrong. People copy and paste stuff, or they just copy Chat GPT. Chat GPT is cool, but you gotta actually understand what you're doing as well, right? So that's gonna end today. So inside Cat Credit University, this is kind of like a commercial break before we continue. So you have step-by-step trainings in there. If you're somebody that needs to fix their credit in the DIY situation, they're structured, easy to follow modules for rapid understanding and application. You got a private community of us in there, so you can connect with peers and experts for real-time support. You got templates and scripts, so ready to use resources for effective credit communication and action. Insider updates as things update. I update y'all in there, and this is $29 a month community. You get full access to my system, my community, my insider knowledge. One powerful tip can save you thousands in interest or unlock critical funding opportunities. That one collection might be holding you back, right? This is if you need to fix your credit. If you don't need to fix your credit, don't worry about all this. But if you need to fix your personal credit first before getting funding, enrolling in Cat Credit University is your first next logical step to do, right? So before we continue, I just want to do a temperature check. I know I talked about, some of these laws. I don't know if everyone's familiarity with it. We've gone through, some steps of improving your credit profile. Drop a one in the chat. Let me know how y'all feeling in terms of if you feel, confident that you could do it with the right guidance. Drop a one in the chat. Drop a one in the chat. We got anybody sleeping? Drop a one in the chat. Okay, I see some ones. Okay, cool, 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 cool. All right. Um, so don't worry about this right now. So if you decide like, okay, I need to get into Cat Credit University, we do affiliates, so I'm gonna have you go through LT's affiliate link. If you're from her crew and everything. So you've seen what's possible. It's time to take action. And in terms of enrolling in Cat Credit University, you gain full access to the whole system, community, and insider knowledge. Like I said, investment is $29. LT will share her specific enrollment link with you to get started. We're gonna situate that later. And we do an affiliate thing. So if you do come in, you get 50% affiliate. So whoever you refer, if they enroll, we split that. So it would be $14.50 per person per month, basically. So don't miss out on this opportunity. So keep in mind, if you're in the stage where you need to fix your personal credit, this is what I would recommend that you do. If your credit is already good, let's continue the presentation. So secret number two, style, right? You got to choose how you get your funding. There's different ways to get your funding, so we got to be crystal clear on how we want to do it. So number one, there's EIN only funding. Number two, there's PG funding. Let's talk about EIN only. So EIN only, you're literally limiting the amount that you're getting because you're neglecting the importance of your personal credit. If you don't know what EIN only funding means, it means that you're using just your business to go ahead and secure the funding versus your personal credit. EIN only could take years of building these vendor and net 30 accounts and all that. I've been there, tried that. I don't like it. And then most lenders they don't trust it anyways, which is going to lead to more denials. This is why I recommend that y'all do PG only funding, right? This is where you leverage your personal credit for more capital. So you see, like I posted Khaled earlier. You see, I posted Glenn earlier. I'm going to show y'all more people that got approved too. 25K plus per card. Is that always going to happen? That's not the case. But when we focus on doing it the right way, which is PG only funding using our personal credit, we're going to get higher approvals. It gives you access to these 0% interest terms for anywhere from 6 to 18 months. And then you got more credibility with the banks because you putting your name down, being like, okay, I'm going to put my personal credit on the line if something happens with this money. The banks are going to trust you more versus you're just saying, oh, I want to just use my EIN and I'm not going to use my personal credit. So don't be afraid to leverage your personal credit. Remember, your personal credit is to be used. All right, so we just got to be real. So EIN only is a fake flex. Let's say you got a $500 Staples card after 6 months of grinding, right? You're doing all the net 30s, net 60s, net 90s, buying these vendor accounts. Then your business is just stuck starving while you're waiting to build history. PG only funding. This is real leverage. You can get a 25K approval in days, right? Even more. I'm going to show y'all even more. Real capital, real opportunities, real growth. So why PG is a shortcut to success, right? If there's a shortcut. So when you back your business with your name, you're telling the banks, I believe in my business enough to put my personal reputation on it versus you're just like, oh, let me just put my LLC on it. Then you filing all these business bankruptcies, something like Trump or something, right? So you just got to really understand the importance of you putting your personal reputation behind this funding. Banks reward confidence with 25,000 to 100,000 approvals with strong personal guarantees. This is through like credit card stacking in terms of applying from multiple places. 0% APR periods that'll essentially provide you free capital for a period of time, and then simpler documentation requirements. There's no doc systems, no doc requirements sometimes. Why PG funding wins every single time. So banks, they prioritize risk, right? They care about minimizing their risk. Your personal guarantee is letting them know, okay, we don't got to worry as much because this person's putting their personal name on the line. EIN only, it's just a slow start because you're doing all this net 30, net 60, net 90. If you're not familiar with building business credit, you got to buy these vendor accounts. You got to buy these stuff to establish the history. Whereas your personal credit, you're already an adult. Your personal credit is already established. So use what you already have. If you mess up your personal credit, okay, fix it. But business credit is something you got to build up like a baby again. And then confidence unlocks capital. So, like I said, putting your personal name behind a business signals strong confidence. And then PG accelerates growth. A personal guarantee basically allows you to skip the line and you're getting access to more capital today. So it's like you getting access to maybe 25, 50,000 versus you saving it. This is why you need to leverage a credit system because it'll allow you to do the market. Maybe you need marketing for your book, right? Maybe you need to invest in a coach. Maybe you need to go to Tokyo with LT, right? So it'll give you that flexibility when it comes to that. All right, let's be real. So EIN only, again, I got to reemphasize it's a long and winding road. EIN only funding is basically like you refusing to use GPS because you want to figure it out on your own, even when there's a faster path, which is PG funding. PG funding is you hopping in the Uber Black and you just get straight to your destination. Maybe if it's hot, you got AC blowing and everything, like everything's good, right? So this is why you want to focus on PG only funding. Don't be afraid to put your personal name behind it. All right, cool. Let's talk about a case study of a client. Again, this is literally detailed on my YouTube channel. I'm just briefly talking about it here. So I had Laura. She had a roofing company. So we helped her get 50K and 0% interest business credit card. So she tried to get the funding on her own and she thought she had to do the whole vendor account thing. And I told her that that's not really the way to do it. So I looked at all her personal credit reports, all three, Experian, TransUnion, Equifax. We structured it the right way, and she didn't realize the power of leveraging her personal credit. She worked with us, and we actually got her approved to 50,000 at 0% interest in just 5 days, versus months and years of trying to build up business credit through EIN only funding, right? So this is a no brainer. So we're able to help her secure this $50,000 at 0% interest for her roofing business. They used it for marketing purposes because they were always doing like in person marketing, but they wanted to get online and get more business that way. If you don't know what this whole 0% interest thing means, it means 0% interest for 12 months means that if you hypothetically max out that $50,000 card, your balance, your minimum payment is 1% of that balance. So $500 for the entire 12-month period. If you take $50,000 and you can't make a profit on that in 12 months, then you chose the wrong business anyways, right? So just keep in mind the flexibility of 0% interest business funding. So this success proves that this style, right? Remember, we're on style right now. We already talked about structure. The next S is style. This style is not limited to specific industries. Roofing people we've helped, e-commerce people we've helped, right? You guys that are authors, you can get access to funding as well. So the full case study is on my YouTube, which is at Mike O Benjamin, Micho Benjamin. Let's talk about Brian, right? So Brian, he actually got 35,000. So Brian, he came to us. He had an LLC that was registered in 2022. So some of y'all may have an LLC that's just sitting as well. He didn't know about the potential that he had after we helped him structure his personal credit properly. He lacked the knowledge to access the capital he needed to grow, and he didn't have the connections that we have. So instead of having them go through the whole EIN only trying to build vendor accounts, we leveraged the power of PG funding. So we were able to help them get 35,000 at 0% interest for 12 months. Again, this is broken down on my YouTube in full. And then we were able to help him do it in 3 days. So his business wasn't, to be transparent, his business wasn't making like revenue as well. So it's kind of like a stated income thing in terms of what we predict he would do. So this is the power of leveraging a well built out personal credit profile. If you're doing EIN only, they're gonna want to know if your business is making revenue. So Brian's story lets you know the speed and leverage of PG funding when applied correctly. Again, full case study videos on my YouTube at Michael Benjamin. All right, so I showed y'all a couple people. Style is not about avoiding responsibility. Put your personal name on it. It's about choosing the funding path that gets you real results fast. As business owners, we understand that success loves speed. We have to move with speed, right? So stop wasting years, stop wasting months chasing EIN only approvals. The smart style is PG funding, right? PG funding, PG funding, PG funding, right? Everybody put a one in the chat if you understand that. The smart style is PG funding. The smart style is PG. You could put a period if you want for the women in the thing. No, that's y'all thing. I see some periods. Okay, cool. All right, so secret number 3. Let's talk about strategy, right? So we're talking about 3 S's. The first S was structure. So how we structure our personal credit, how we structure the business credit, the business as well, right? And then we talked about style, the style that we choose, which is PG only funding. No one here is going to do EIN only funding. Now the strategy, we have to choose our PG funding approach because we understood we're not doing EIN only. So the old way in terms of getting access to business funding was applying online without any connections. That was the old way. That was what I was doing to help clients in 2021. We were getting low approvals, but we were still getting approved here and there, right? But that's the old way. So the new way is applying through something called a bank relationship manager. This is a BRM. This is a rep that works on the inside, right? So keep that in mind. So the old way, which most people take, is applying directly through bank websites or just common online lenders without any deep knowledge or any insider bank connections, right? The problem with that is, it's high competition, especially with the banks always changing how they do. Your application is just one of thousands, and it's reviewed by automated systems versus a human or a BRM that's going to understand your entire story and application package. You got limited flexibility. So you're not, like I said, you're not granted a human touch being looked at the application. The algorithm is just deciding the results. And then generic results. So results are determined by the algorithm. I've literally put out YouTube videos where I did comparisons of what my clients and students would get as far as approvals, where their data might not have been as good as a database where people online they post where they apply for cards. Because those people are focused on the old way. You need to get with the new way, right? So this is 2025. This is beyond, whenever if someone's watching a recording, it could be 2026. So you need to adopt the new way. The new way of getting funding is working with a funding expert that already established these banking relationship connections, right? So it's a different application process. So your application is looked at by a human and it's worked on by a rep that works directly with underwriting. They'll explain your entire story and battle for you. So you get expert insight as well when you adopt this new way. So funding experts, we understand your profile, match you with lenders that's going to be best suited for your needs. And we got data of applying for people in terms of approvals and obviously denials too. So we have the knowledge, we have the experience that you don't have. Chances are if you're seeking funding, you're only applying for yourself. Me doing this as a business, I apply for so many different business owners, right? So I have a lot of data. And then you get better approvals. The new way of getting funding maximizes the approval that you would have gotten on your own because your application is reviewed by a human versus just the algorithm just saying, okay, this is your approval, right? So you got to work with a BRM, even if you don't work with a funding expert. All right, so DIY versus specialist approach. Option one, you could apply alone. So again, blind applications online, automated denials or automated small limit approvals. And then the banks don't know you, they don't trust you. I built up these relationships with these bank relationship managers because I paid mentor after mentor, and then I got hip. I was like, oh dang, I'm supposed to be doing this thing with BRMs once I paid a different mentor, you know. So bank relationship manager. This is the thing though. It's better than online, but the issue is BRMs, they only advocate for you if you already know how to position your profile, right? If you don't have the data, if you don't know what the banks are looking for, you're still gambling. This is why you have to still work with someone that knows the process, which is like a funding expert. So someone like myself. So the missing bridge, bank relationship managers, they do want to work with businesses, but it's not their job to educate you. They're just processing the files, right? This is what I try to get people to understand. When people are watching my videos, I'm letting them know like this is what you have to understand, right? We as funding experts, we're the bridge. So we're translating your profile into exactly what the banks want to approve, assuming that your profile matches, and we're maximizing your potential. It's like we know a language you don't know and we're translating it on your behalf, right? So this is what you've got to understand, right? So it's important to understand this and don't be cheap with the process. Don't think like, okay, I don't want to work with the funding expert because I'm going to have to pay them a percentage or something. You don't want to be cheap. I created an acronym called CHEAP. CHEAP stands for constantly having excuses about prosperity. Constantly having excuses about prosperity. So you don't want to block your blessings just because you didn't want to pay a small fee to an expert, right? So just keep that in mind. All right, so let's talk about why going solo is risky and borderline stupid. So, trying to secure business funding without expert guidance can lead to frustrating and an unproductive journey. It's like you're trying to navigate a legal battle without a lawyer, in a sense, right? Without being dramatic. So, you're probably going to get a lot of denials if you don't know how to structure your profile, right? You might have a good score. I speak to people all the time. They're just like, oh, my credit is good. Why did I get denied? They got a skinny profile. They didn't build out the profile, right? They didn't have a relationship with that bank before going. They don't know anyone inside in the bank, right? So you got to understand that you got to have the connections, you got to have the leverage, you got to have the insider intelligence that we bring to the table. Rookie versus a bank. You're the rookie trying to outsmart an entire institution rather than leveraging established relationships I've established over the years already. I already did the work. So you got to ask yourself too, do you want to be a test dummy or do you want to be the business owner that got good approvals like the ones I've shown throughout the presentation? So the expert advantage when working with us, you stay ahead. So we know which banks are, most favorable. We see banks constantly changing. I've seen that many times within my business, and we've had to make pivots here and there. Direct access, so benefit from our direct lines to the BRMs or bank relationship managers, who's gonna fast track and help your applications. And then you're maximizing your funding when you work with somebody like us or a funding expert because we stack your applications in terms of applying here. We have a relationship here. We have a relationship over there. So it's a stacking process. And then your thing is you're supposed to just focus on your business. So if that's writing your book, if that's the logistics of hiring, you're supposed to focus on that. We focus on handling the complex funding strategy because that can just do additional stress that you don't need. All right, so again, let's just talk about some more people that got funded, right? So again, this is a case study that's already on my channel. So we have Carlos here. He had a plumbing business. We got him 50,000 at 0% interest for 12 months. So he has a plumbing business, and initially he tried to get funding on his own, but he got denied, even though he has a business that was making revenue. So again, this proves my point in terms of if you don't know what you're doing, it's better to work with the person, right? So his struggle highlighted a common issue when you don't got the insider connections and you don't have an understanding of what the lenders are actually looking for. Even a strong business can get denied. So when Carlos finally, partnered with us, we analyzed what was going on. We corrected his profile, and then we leveraged our direct relationships with our BRM, and this basically helped his application, and we were able to get him approved again. A different issue too. Certain banks, when you get denied, you gotta wait like 30 days. Some banks say it's like 90 days before you can apply again. So you're low key wasting your time if you're trying to do it on your own without knowing what you're doing, basically, right? That's not to sell y'all, but I'm just being real. So we were able to get him $50,000 in 0% interest, and this was done in about 2 weeks. So I break down the whole process on my YouTube. So Carlos, his story just shows you that the right strategy, expert connections makes a difference when you're securing funding. All right, let's talk about Anna too, right? Because more people. I know some people they might be like, okay, I need something relatable or somebody older or something. Anna, this is a 61-year-old carpentry business. So I think her birthday is actually this week. So she's gonna be 62 on the 7th of September. But she's 61 right now. She was not tech savvy, but her business needed capital. She just focused on what she's doing in her business, right? We analyzed her credit profile, we optimized it, dressed it up the right way. We held her hand through the process, got her with our bank relationship manager. She was able to secure $50,000 in business funding. And this was done in just 24 hours, right? This is for 0% interest period. This is literally on my YouTube channel, right? So again, I broke everything down on there and she was able to expand with less stress and minimal risk. As you see, I've been talking about all these different businesses because I want to tell y'all and show y'all that it's not limited to just one industry. You as an author, you can do it. You as a speaker, you can do it, right? When you get into stuff that like trucking businesses, it's not impossible, but it's harder. And we even got testimonial of trucking people on my YouTube channel as well. So we do it all. So Anna's success just shows that insider strategy works regardless of your industry. So remember, this is strategy. All right, so just to reaffirm or re-emphasize the analogy, courtroom battle. When you're doing DIY, you represent yourself in a court of law, right? So when you try to do it on your own, you're trying to basically do your legal case by yourself. You know, the average thing that somebody does if they're dealing with a legal situation, they're going to hire a lawyer, right? So just keep that in mind. So that's what it's like when you're working with a funding expert. We have the experience, we have the knowledge, we have the connections to help you and help maximize your funding. So, outcome is clear. You want to always go with the expert. All right. So the truth is you'd be you'd be insane to, apply alone. You'd be naive to think that a relationship manager is just going to hold your hand because that is not the case. You got to understand that a lot of these BRMs, these bank relationship managers, a lot of them are just they're just there to get their check, and a lot of these people I know more about their products than they know, so that should let you know, right? The logical strategy is working with the funding expert who already knows the game, who already has the connections, and anything else you're doing, you're just wasting time, you're just wasting money, I don't know how else to describe it. You'd be crazy. All right, so let's recap the 3S method, right? So the 3S method, three S's, it should be easy. S for September, S for structure, S for style, S for strategy. So when it comes to structure, we first want to build up our bankable foundation. This means a personal credit profile that's attractive in the eyes of the lenders, right? So then we want to make sure that we have our business structure right. Business structure right, meaning we have a business check-in account, right? We don't need to do too much. We have a website, hopefully, just a pure real. And then style, we move over to style. We're gonna do PG only funding. No one in here should be talking about some EIN only funding. Use your personal credit. And then strategy, you're gonna work with experts who hold the keys, which is us, right? If you choose otherwise, you're literally choosing to go the slow route while people are cashing out with speed and less stress and less headaches. Remember, when it comes to structure, if you do have those negatives on your credit, LT is going to have a link that she'll send out to you as far as enrolling in Cat Credit University. It's a $29 a month situation. If you need that, then you can get in there. We got all the letters for every negative item that you'll possibly have. All right, so the 3S method in action, my low risk approach. I believe in making an offer so good you would be crazy to say no. That's why we operate on a success based model. So we do zero upfront fees, no payments unless you get approved. We operate off of a 10% success fee. This is only paid out when you secure funding. So, for example, I'm giving y'all $25,000 as a sample. I literally showed y'all on every case study people that secured more than that. I'm just using 25,000 as like a minimum level just in case y'all need to visualize that, right? So, for example, let's say you got $25,000 in funding. We helped you get that. you would essentially pay 2,500 only after the money was already secured with you. So we only win when you win. This ensures that we're motivated to maximize your funding amount and approval odds. So taking action, all right? This is where we're at. So your business funding awaits. Remember, structure, build a clean credit profile that's going to make you irresistible to the banks. Style, we're only doing personal guarantee funding because before we go to style, our personal credit has to be strong. So remember that. And then strategy, get with a funding expert like ourselves that has the connections, that has the results. If you happen to work with anyone that's not us, I can only vouch for us because I know what we do, right? So make sure that that person can show you results like the way I showed y'all results. So if you want, book a call today, and then we'll help you unlock your first or next 25,000 plus in business capital. I could put the link in the description shortly. So every month without funding is a month of lost opportunity and growth. The best time to start is right now. So just remember that. So your next step, book your breakthrough call. If you're in a position where like, okay, my credit is already where it's at, I need it to be, and I'm ready to get funding, then I would book the call. If not, I would get that link from LT so you can get into Cat Credit University and then, fix the personal credit. So it is your opportunity if you're booking a call to discuss your specific business needs, assess your credit profile, outline a tailored funding strategy so we can help you obtain your next 25K in funding. With that being said, are there any questions? I'm gonna stop sharing my screen. We could do a Q&A.
First of all, wow. Let's take a deep breath and let's do some clap clap emojis and hearts and stuff because wow, I know my brain is happy, excited, but overwhelmed.
It's overwhelmed. Don't be overwhelmed.
Is overwhelmed. Excited though, because I see all of these testimonials, which makes me see that, you know what, there's hope. Like there's
Yeah.
people that are really out here doing things, making a difference, getting approved. Like it's very encouraging, but it is a lot of information. It is, and I'm glad because look, we have to stay outside of our lane sometimes so we can learn,
Yeah.
right? I spend a lot of time focusing on publishing, and that's exactly what I know. So when I
Hmm.
get into a class like this, I'm like, ooh, look at all the stuff I don't know. Oh, wow. I love it. Questions, y'all? Questions?
Any questions?
Are we dropping the questions in the chat or are we asking it live?
It's however
Let's
you
do
prefer.
this. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording and then we can just open up our mics and just have a conversation. Is that okay?
Yeah, you can go ahead and stop the recording.
Okay, perfect.
All right.